I've studied mind control, hypnosis, brainwashing, and interrogation. I've spent time with cult recruiters. All of these people made somebody feel special, different, clever, in that order. If I get you to think that an idea is yours, you have zero ability to resist it. Anytime that we develop an allegiance, my brain will literally delete conflicting data. And the most important thing I've ever learned in psychology is that we think that our brain is a truth-seeking machine. Our brain's job is to become a defense attorney to prove your ass right. So if I have that little allegiance, my defense attorney goes up there and be like, we're going to strike that from the record.
Yeah. And that's why it never works when two people are talking about two different religions or whatever. They're never going to have common ground.
True brainwashing goes into ideas, ideology, and then identity. And the moment it becomes identity, the truth dies. Yeah. I am a Republican. I am a Democrat. Now it's a piece of identity. And the moment you get identity compromised, reality starts just eroding. And if I can get you into identity, this is how I can get you to do more and more and more crazy shit. And now how do I make it permanently sealed into your brain? I get you to share it in front of people because judgment is our biggest fear.
Wow.
Now I've manufactured cognitive dissonance in your brain to never go away from that identity because you made it public. If I could teach you in 30 seconds how to have the mentality as the deep level profiler of human behavior, pay attention to
You're not the average psychedelic practitioner in the sense you're so schooled in neuroanatomy, psychology, behavioral sciences. So I'm very curious about insights that you've been learning, experiences you've been having just in the psychedelic space. Are you starting to accrue a level of wisdom from your journeying experiences that are now entering into the vernacular of how you teach and how you approach teaching and how you live your life? What's some insights? What's been happening for you in that space?
I started with psychedelics because I have a brain disease. I have mesial temporal sclerosis and temporal lobe epilepsy. And these seizures are at the temporoparietal junction. So it's at the junction between your parietal lobe and temporal lobe. And this is actually where we think we process our spiritual experiences and stuff. So I had these seizures and reality would fracture like crazy for up to a minute and a half.
Just as an aside, I've been in your presence right after it happened and you literally feel it humming and emanating off of you. You're disoriented, you're confused, there's a panic. It is intense to be around.
Yeah, I forgot that you've been
as
there
somebody who cares about you. It's fuck, man.
Yeah.
It's not like a physical thing, but something emotional and traumatic just happened and there's a whole energy and vibration that just intense.
Yeah. And it's in those 60 seconds, you get maybe a year or 2 years of memories from someone else's life. And all of your file cabinets just randomly stuffed into files. And it takes weeks to go through there. And you have these memories that aren't yours and it doesn't belong. So you can kind of oh, that's not me. But it's weeks of just random weird deja vu. But the seizure starts with deja vu, and it's deja vu that's so severe that there's no other way that this is happening than people are setting me up. This is a setup somehow. I'm getting set up because all of this is engineered. It's weird. Something's not right. And then it's a roller coaster feeling. And then you're just unconscious. So it's not shaking. It's not like a normal seizure where you're shaking around and stuff. And then I read about these psychedelic experiments that were being done to repair brain tissue and PTSD and depression, anxiety, addiction. And it seems to be if you just look at the research, it's the most effective thing ever tested ever. And it's been tested since, 3,000 years ago, but tested in articles from 1940s and 50s. That was a very common prescription. I took my first dose of psychedelic mushrooms and right away, my life changed. My seizures went away and stopped for months and months from one dose.
How long ago is this you took the dose?
6 years. 5.5, 6 years. And it's such a profound experience just going on just doing a psychedelic journey by itself. And to this day, I've never used them recreationally, but it is.
That's fun too.
Yeah. But man, it is so profound. And it reversed. I'm doing a lot of other things too, like methylene blue and high dose melatonin, but it reversed and stopped all of these issues. And it modified me permanently. And it modified how I teach everything by the more lessons you get through doing these deep dives. And I'm not a spiritual guy. I'm not, I don't claim to be a guru or anything, but if you look at the most common thing that people learn on psychedelics, not just me, everybody, is that it's uncertainty is the answer. Like uncertainty is okay. You don't have to be sure about everything. You just let go, and uncertainty is going to help you lead the way.
Mm.
I don't even know if that was an answer to your question.
No, that's an answer. And then you were just talking about your DMT experiences, and you're pushing deeper into that. And you're seeing a consistent character that's kind of coming to you in your DMT experiences, right?
Every time. And I have no explanation for this. I have no certainty around any of this. But the first time I did DMT, she was there, and I saw her, and it felt like I've known this person for millennia. Like,
does it hit you like an energy, or hit you like an actual person?
It's 100 times more real than this. What we are right here. And it's like a human form. And she is there every time I go in there. And I can't explain it. I just think it's interesting. It's just something that we don't know what it is. And I think that's where we need to always start.
And in that realm, what's your emotional experience and connection when you see this person or entity or energy?
It's like mom, daughter, sister, wife, without any of those words. But it's like the feeling of all those words kind of mashed into one feeling.
And it's a feminine energy.
Yeah, the feminine.
Very
obviously.
feminine. Yeah. And if you just look at like the DMT, we make it in our own body. It's endogenous. And 3,000 years ago, people are going to the exact same place that we go on DMT today. And there's something there. Mushrooms, there's different things that people do, different things all the time, different strains of mushrooms. DMT seems to lead everybody to the same place. We all see the same characters, like Terrence McKenna kind of documented these little archetypes of characters that we see. And it's fascinating. And it's got to be more than some Carl Jung collective unconscious archetype that we're all just kind of reacting to. And to this day, I've never met a single person that's doing any research, like a neuroscientist, any scientist doing research on DMT, that thinks that it's a hallucination. Not one human being.
Well, it calls to mind, I was bringing this up earlier, the study that they had done, I believe at Imperial College, and there were 4 professors who had deep experience in particular with DMT, but some guys had sat with DMT and 5-MeO DMT more than 50 times each. So like super experienced. So they were doing the intravenous DMT for a period of like an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. And they were trying to go in and chart like what was happening in each of those experiences as they prolong it. To your point, like you get to actually be in the world. And I think at one point they wanted to try to like fall asleep to try to get into another layer of it. So you're not familiar with this study? Because I was going to say, this is right along the lines, but you're taking it 5 times that, and you're adding other pieces to it. So like I've sat with 5-MeO a few times. And when you talk about how real that entity or whatever feels, the feminine feels in that space, it calls to mind. And I know DMT and 5-MeO DMT are different because of 5-MeO. Have you sat with 5-MeO?
I haven't.
It's like all the others, like it's hard to explain. It's ineffable, like probably more than any of them, because it's such a felt experience that you can't describe the feeling because you don't feel it here in this world. It's like I've never felt anything close to it, but it's such a felt experience of I'm so held. There is so much like that, they call it the God molecule because you feel like you're in the presence of God in a way that you can't imagine unless you've been there. It has nothing to do with the God that we think. And it is just like, whew. So when you talk about that being more real, it adds a layer of that. It feels so different than this waking experience. So I don't know if that's like just a feeling. The connection is more than cerebral. Like I love this person. It's like, I am so home right now and so held that I don't have words for it.
Yeah.
Is it similar to that?
I don't think you have that held feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you're on the NN-DMT, it's got its own steering wheel, and it's I think it's a whole different thing. This is almost like the way that I would describe it to somebody who has never experienced DMT. It's like you're smoking an alien microchip. It's like the NN-DMT is more. I view it as a technology.
Mm-hmm.
It is some kind of technology that allows us to do something. Who knows where we're going? If we're going somewhere, I have no clue.
Right.
There's a lot of people out there who have a lot of certainty around it.
Right.
Until they do it.
Well, and then you had shared, also we talked about it, last time we were on the podcast, but within the experience of the laser on DMT,
yeah,
again, people would maybe make the assumption that like once you see that, there's more certainty in what you said. Yeah, it's quite the opposite. And so, what's that like to witness that? Like, what did it invite for you into seeing this experience and anything else like differently? How did that shift that for you?
So the first time I saw the laser on DMT was my first time on DMT. So it was a 2-for-1.
Yes, it was.
Thing. So I did the DMT, go over there and look at the laser, and it's not like those, remember those pictures in the 90s where you kind of like have to look a certain way and
like
then
the mind's eye ones where there's nothing until you've really focused.
And there's like a bird on the page or something.
Yes.
And it's not like that where you've kind of like got to move your head and somebody's got to suggest it to you. And like, do you see the letters now? Do you see the characters? That's what I thought it might be.
Yeah.
And Danny Goler is the guy that's kind of running that experiment now. It's called Project Veil Break. And he showed it to me. I just kind of like got near the wall and you could see they're just there, sitting there. But the weird thing is, like, if you're on DMT and you're trying to keep your eyes open and look at like this rock wall over here, little things would move. Little things would be kind of moving around, morphing a little bit. These were static text, static characters. And if you get close to the wall, you can see from my POV, maybe other people are different. You could see like 14 inches through the wall. So if you move up, you can see down into that space. You kind of pull your head down. You can look up inside of that space.
Is the coding flat, or does the coding also have depth? So like as you're looking up, are you seeing layers of code, or is it just one wall of code that goes up and down?
It's like a wallpaper of code. It's all on one distance.
And I've heard like Sanskrit, hieroglyphics, cuneiform, mathematical. Like, do you recall?
It looked like some kanji matrixy stuff, like a computer matrix kind of code, but it was more ancient looking. And maybe it's a projection. Maybe we have a collective understanding of something where we were maybe imbued with language from some species or something, and that kind of becomes our reality. But the thing that got me, just as a guy who studies the brain all the time, if you take you get a Home Depot laser level, right? And it just draws a little line around the room. You diffuse this laser out to be like 5 inches, a big thick stripe on the wall. And that little stripe, if I take this and just move the laser up or down, It's as if the laser was shining on a map of letters, and it's just revealing different letters. You come back down here, it's identical.
Okay.
So, and then Danny got 5, 6, 7 people all to write down what they saw in this one little area. It's all identical. Everybody sees the same code in the same place. Then I put my arm up in front of this thing, and the instant that your arm comes in front of this, the characters change that are on the arm.
Wow.
And everything that's in the wall area is still what was there before, but you just do that and all the characters change.
So that would suggest that there's individuated code per the object that's being, I guess, focused on or attended to or viewed.
Yeah. So, who knows what it means? But it does feel cool. Like I'm getting access to a layer of reality that nobody else can see, and that I have no more certainty. But it's like the certainty that I have is this is not all there is. And it's not just somebody like has an idea of this is not all there is. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 100% certain.
Yeah.
That stuff is all over these walls. Probably now. Maybe it's only when the laser's shining. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably there all the time, whatever it is. And I think at the end of the day, what Danny's trying to do is prove that the code responds to reality in a way. So they're trying to get some big, giant MRI magnet that like kind of turns on and for maybe a tiny moment, and see if some of the code changes, see if some of the letters start modifying, because like there's a giant massive energy like appearing and then going away. So he's trying to figure out how do we test it? How do we play with it? How can we experiment with it? What I've wanted to do is get one of those super like commercial grade projectors. It's a laser projector, and just paint a wall in laser light, like an entire wall, and see what would happen there. Yeah. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Does it work in other type? Will it work with like an LED light, or it's always got to be a laser light?
I've tried many lights. The only thing I've ever been able to see the code is laser for me. I've tried a lot.
That's really wild.
Any idea how Danny came upon this concept of using a laser?
I know that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I should forget to ask that last time.
Yeah. So basically, the Danny Jones podcast, the first one that Danny Goldler did, he really goes into detail. But really briefly, he's the creative artist, sound designer, film composition, and things like that, as I recall. And he used to use DMT creatively, and he would use it a lot. And he started to see a number. I think it was 46. He'd start to see the number 46 in DMT a lot. And one day he walks out of his apartment in New York City, in Miami, and the number 46 is on the ground. There's like a land surveying crew that's like, urban land surveying for like piping or something like that. And it's the number 46 with an arrow. So he and his girlfriend follow the number 46 with an arrow for like 7 miles all through Miami. It was a long time. I'm screwing the details up. The general gist of what I'm saying is accurate. And eventually it comes to a tripod laser for road surveying, like a road surveying crew. And he's like, oh, the DMT must want me to bring a laser into my next session. So he rents a projected laser, and then there is the code projected. That's basically how it happened. And then he started to get this green entity would come to him also in the DMT, and wouldn't talk to him, but basically show him how, like, if he wanted to express something on a computer, this entity would kind of stroke its hand and there would be a computer. And there'd be like typing on the computer. So he started to have this greater interaction with it. But literally, he started to get this numerical pattern, 46, as I recall. It was on the street in Miami. He followed it. He followed to a surveying laser, and then he brought the surveying laser into the DMT experiment. And he saw the code there. He immediately called a buddy of his up, who's a documentary filmmaker, said, you got to come here and film me in the state. And then the documentary guy did. He tried it himself, saw the code. He said, we got to replicate this with a experiment. And that's when they put it on Instagram and the film, and it all exploded from there.
It's so insane.
It's so insane.
You know what's adorable to me is every generation thinks that, oh yeah, we've got it figured out. There's a quote from like, I think 1890, where some physicist saying, we figured out everything there is to know about physics, like 1890. But every generation thinks that. But then during the Industrial Revolution, the universe was a machine. during the ages before that universe, all the stars were fire because that's what we saw. And then after the Industrial Revolution, we had this kind of huge rise in electricity. And then the universe was an energetic thing. It was energy. Then computers came along. And now we're no smarter than our ancestors. Like, we do the exact same thing. Like, oh, the universe must be some kind of computer. And we have all these very smart people that, with all the hubris in the world, going out there and saying, oh, the universe is some kind of computer. And then we say, yeah, well, it couldn't be a computer simulation because the computer would have to be bigger than the size of our solar system. Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
You think that they would use some like Hewlett Packard computer when we're these like beings down here and don't even know what consciousness is?
Yeah.
And like, no, I've got this figured out. This is how big the hard drive would be. And these are scientists saying stuff like this. So I've started to develop a little allergy to that level of certainty about how things work.
Yeah, I think a lot of those scientists would be well served to go into the plant realm to open up that side of their consciousness so that they understand not everything is science. There is an element of it that can help us start to build some frameworks and understanding. But I think through our own personal explorations, it's not meant to be known. It's meant to be explored and be curious about and have theories and have fun with it. And remind ourselves, like you just shared with us, like it's all just a game. And so, like, at what level do you want to play? And do you want to be open to other levels, or do you just want to stay at this level right now? Maybe that's you're this time you're playing the game, you're just like at this pretty dense level of consciousness. Amazing. But I'm curious about some other shit. And so I will explore some of these plant experiences to open up other layers of, in my understanding, the best I can make, just different layers of reality, frequency, whatever you want to call it. There's these levels. I don't know how if they're stacked or whatever, but I know when I go into these realms, other things are revealed, and it makes this reality make more sense for me. I don't have an understanding that I could articulate and say, this is what it is. To your point, I don't have certainty.
Yeah.
And the deeper this exploration goes for me, it's like, oh yeah, I don't know fucking anything. I know how I feel. Oh, that's interesting. That's new. Oh, that's what they've been telling me. How do you feel? And then as I've started to really explore how I feel and use my intuition to guide me, and I had someone on the podcast who just didn't kind of look at things that way. He's very much more like, well, everything's in the brain and it can program your intuition. I was like, okay, interesting. I don't really feel that way, but okay.
Yeah.
This like surrendering to not having to know, because as you know, like we are so programmed to know and have an answer for everything. And it's like, that's the journey, right? Is to let go of that stuff and use it only when necessary.
It's so true. And I think modern science, there's a guy named Federico Fagin, and he wrote a book called Irreducible. Have you guys heard of this?
Mm-hmm.
Fabulous, life-changing book, Irreducible. And it's like, I think $9 on Amazon. It's fantastic. But the way that I described this so much, like if you look at a modern neuroscientist or a modern scientist of any kind, it's like, let's set out to understand music and how music makes people feel and how music works and the harmonics and frequencies. All right, so step one of science is there's a cello over here. Let's take this cello, chop it up into 5 billion pieces, and put each piece of the cello under a microscope, one at a time. So now we understand the metal composition of a string. We understand the wood. And not once have we played music. We're understanding the material elements of it. And then somebody goes, wait, everybody. We found a sheet of paper over here with some note-looking stuff on it. That might be the music in this paper. All right, bring the paper over here. Let's chop that bitch up, put it under the microscope. Let's look at the paper. And like, oh, this is music. This black circle on this little fiber piece of paper, that's music. We've figured out music. We understand it. And not once has anybody heard it.
Yeah, it is such a deconstruction and not looking at like, so much of it doesn't allow for magic. or for the universe to, like, come on, guys, like, there's so much going on here. You really think there's not some element that we can't understand?
Yeah. And I think we crave certainty
Mm-hmm.
as creatures. We just want a lot of certainty, and it's okay. I think it's fine that those people do that. But all science starts with one miracle. All science says, well, this all came from the Big Bang. So science is saying, give us one miracle,
Just one.
and then we'll explain everything that happened.
But we don't want your fucking miracles.
Yeah.
We're just this one miracle for us.
Yeah.
Because that's the only one that happened. Yeah, it becomes a bit ludicrous.
I've found, though, in the few you guys have done many more, like I would say, I'm Mr. Microdosing, but the macros are few and far between. But I've come away from each macro experience on DMT, on mushrooms, with a sense of certainty, but it's only about love. Like that, every time I do a psychedelic journey, I'm more certain that love is just the thing that matters, that loving my wife, loving my kids, trying to love life, like there's a certainty of love that comes through. Like that's always the realest thing. So like, which is, quite spectacular. There's total uncertainty about life and, the decisions, the energies that seem to dominate the world we're living in and so forth. Like I know less and less about that and claim to even understand less and less, but there's like a certainty of love that shines through. Like there's something genuinely sublime and beneficent and loving about the universe. And that the more we can kind of express that on a localized and individuated basis is like the realest thing that kind of comes out of these experiences.
Yeah. And if you look at like what the ancient mystics said, and even if you read, which I would highly encourage everybody to read, these banned gospels of the Bible.
Well, yeah.
Like the Gospel of Thomas, especially the Gospel of Thomas. So essentially, there's a band of love being over here, and it's just a spectrum, and fear over here. Like we basically have two base emotions, towards love or towards the fear side. And if you look at the most common phrase in all these ancient texts, Hermetic wisdom, all the emerald tablets, the Kybalion, the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, all of these ancient texts go back to saying the same thing. And then you look at the Bible, same phrases, the most common phrases as all these other books. The most common phrase in the Bible is do not fear. It's let's get to the opposite of what fear is on that spectrum. That's the way I look at it. Anyway.
Yeah. And to even go a little bit deeper in what you're saying about love, the one thing you didn't mention, and I think that's actually the most important thing, is the medicine shows us how to love ourselves. And then we actually have an understanding of what love is, and we accept all those parts of us that we're not proud of.
Yeah.
We actually get to accept them in everybody around us. And so then it becomes like, oh, okay, this is just the lived experience. So in the medicine, you get to experience that. Maybe during integration, you get to put it into play, and then you forget and you get kind of back in your old patterns. And then eventually maybe you have the breakthrough. You're like, okay, now I just get it.
Yeah.
This is how I'm meant to be.
Yeah. If you look at all that stuff, I'm a behavior profiler. Like that's kind of my bread and butter is doing behavior stuff. The one thing, if I could teach you in 30 seconds how to have the mentality and see the world as a huge, deep level profiler of human behavior, pay attention to two things really closely. How does a person judge others? Like, what do they judge other people for? And then what do they use to put other people down or make fun of them? Because let's go backwards here. When a person wants to put someone down or hurt them with words, they're going to use the worst thing that they can, right?
Mm-hmm.
We tend to think that everybody's just like us. So the words you're hearing are the ones they think are going to hurt the most. So the words you're hearing from them, the insults or whatever, are the things that they're most hurt by.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're hearing judgments from those people, that's this Carl Jungian shame and fear and guilt that they're carrying, this shadow self, if you want to call it that. It's just, I'm concealing shame so I don't get made fun of and I don't receive what I call a social injury.
Mm-hmm.
So you listen to the judgment, you're seeing far deeper into their psychology than they would ever want you to see.
Mm-hmm.
And you listen to how they put people down, you're seeing where all their wounds are. You're seeing the weapons that hurt them the most. And that's why they're giving it to other people to hurt them. And that's what mushrooms did for me. And I had been retired for a couple of years from the military, and I had not done any psychedelics or anything. And I did this first journey, and it was just like, I was crying for hours. I'm gonna almost cry talking about it. Just hours of me just being like, why have I wasted this life? I've just wasted it, hiding all this shame for something that's not a big deal. Like nothing is a big deal. And then I saw like all this other stuff, this behavior that I couldn't figure out in other people. This guy's being an asshole. This person's being a dick, all this stuff. And I just saw that for the first time, like they're just hurting.
Mm-hmm.
And like all the things that we do, we tend to think no one else is suffering like me. No one else is hiding stuff like I am. No one else is concealing some shame like me. No one else needs as much affection as I do. But it's all of us share this. We just hide it differently. And what I found out with 30,000 hours of studying human behavior and profiling people, what you really see when you see a deep behavior profile is the behaviors we have are just different ways to either conceal shame or deal with some kind of guilt. And it's sad, I think.
Well, it's also amazing that it can be revealed that clearly, that easily. And so if you have someone that can hold you in that and obviously be very tender too.
Yeah.
Because now you know their pain points, and then it takes, real skill to be able to help them navigate that if they're ready to, which is the other piece.
And our language doesn't have to point directly at it either. So we could use our behavior and our words in a way that indirectly helps them to deal with that, or indirectly helps them to just get a little more aware of it each day. Even if we point it out in somebody else and say, wonder why that person's doing that. What kind of fear do you think they're hiding? That the way they get to project it out for a little while, but it helps them to get that little transparency over time.
Yeah, it brings it into the circle. It's like, okay, this is just a thing. It's not mine right now, but it is. Yeah. You're meeting them where they're at, which is the key. In so much of it, whether you're coaching someone or you're just showing up as a friend, it's like people can only take what they're ready to receive in that moment.
Yeah.
And it takes some real presence to work with that. Now that gets me into, I had a buddy in town this weekend who you met, Dave, on Thursday, I think. My buddy, his wife was doing her event down at the hotel.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And he loves your work, and he was curious about, today when there's a PSYOPs being run, a lot more people are keen to it, right? Than we were when we were growing up, let's say. There was shit, like we would just fucking watch the news. That's what's happening. The government's taking care of us. All those things that we believed. Today, it's a completely different world. And so these PSYOPs arguably are being exposed. In a lot of cases, people think everything's a PSYOP, but let's just put that aside for now. But let's just say these things are being exposed, right? By the help of you informing people of what to look for. Now, the question is, are the ones running the PSYOPs, are they using an old playbook and now people are just catching up to it? Now we have these people with access to the internet and whatever that they can really kind of flush these things out? Or are they operating at a higher level and they're keeping people busy on the PSYOPs on one level, but there's actually a greater plan going on? So it's just like another level of the PSYOP that we're just not privy to. And we just think we got it figured out now. We're on to them. And do they just fucking use the same playbook because they don't give a fuck because there's nothing anybody can do?
I think there's an element of that to it.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful in a lot of ways for the pandemic because it was mishandled so ridiculously that it woke people up that would have never been woken up before. And the trust in institutions is at an all-time low right now. And these are people who thought, like, these are people straight down the line. If the government tells us, then that's the right thing. You know what the best way to eat is? You don't need to watch those YouTube videos. Go look at the food pyramid. Yeah, you need to use the food pyramid to figure out what you need to eat every day. Those kind of people even started going, whoa. They're kicking off Harvard-educated medical doctors off the internet for having an opinion. The dude who invented mRNA was banned because he said it might be dangerous. It's just that I think they just went too hard, too fast. If you want my personal opinion,
of course,
looking at the psychology of all this, I think the people that might be involved with whatever, creating this big psyop or whatever it is, I think they're getting old. And I think that there's a level of narcissism that's making them speed up the timeline so that their end goals are closer to being achieved before the end of their life. I think that's what's happening.
Is there one that you're tracking right now that's super interesting to you? Like, where are you at with all of it? Because we had talked before we got on about the Charlie Kirk stuff and what I had shared, and I was so interested to hear your response. I'm like, I would normally track those things, and I was at a point where I'm like, I'm not interested in those things at all anymore because there's nothing really new for me to learn. I know there's some fucking shitty people that have a lot of power that are pulling the strings. Okay, got it. There's nothing, I'm not going to spend any time listening to all the theories, no matter how good they may be about who's involved. I mean, I'm sad for the guy's life and his family. And, I appreciate so much of the work that he was doing. And was he compromised? Was he not? It's like, I don't care because it doesn't do me any good to know that there's another like psyop for me to like explore. I did that like a year ago. It was like fucking psyop season in the fall. Like I was on all of them. And it was incredible because it's intoxicating because you're feeling like you're looking behind the curtain. And then for me, it was like, I've had enough. I got it. I fucking got the message. I saw some dark ass stuff that I wouldn't even mention on here that I'm sure you've explored. I know you've explored, Adam. Got it. I just know things are kind of fucked up. And what's cool for me as part of my role as a dad is to, make sure my kids are kind of up on what's going on. And they're just fucking way ahead of me, dude.
Really?
Oh, yeah. My kids are 22, 19, and 18. And nothing I say to them now, and I'm very careful about what I bring up, but they're down rabbit holes like that I've been down and further. And my 19-year-old son, Bowen, who Adam hung with a little bit this weekend, he fucking puts it all together. And like, it's kind of impressive. And so we get to have the conversations, and in my bit of dad for him is like, okay, just so you know, at a certain point, if you don't pull out of this inquiry, you will see all these things everywhere at all times in your life.
That's it.
And that's what was happening to me. I was like, okay, I can handle it. Cool. I can handle it. We were talking about it a lot at men's night and, having Adam's so articulate that he puts all these things together. Amazing, and I stopped seeing all that shit when I popped out. And it's like, okay, this is how, okay, got it. And I just share with my son, Bowen, like, just know at a certain point, this is no longer doing you any good. Like you've got the picture, dude. It's your choice if you want to stay in the energy of that. So please speak to that.
Dude, I'm so glad that you said that. My son is 17. His name's William. And he came into the kitchen the other day. We'd never really talked about this at all. Any of this psyop stuff. I've educated him on social media. I'll show him, like, let's keep scrolling until you find an ad. Okay, great. You found an ad on your phone. Now go back one. And without me, and he's holding his phone in a place I can't see it. Now go one short video before the ad. And he's like, okay, I'm looking at it. And I said, is it emotional? And he said, yeah. I said, is it about an animal? He said, yeah. I said, is it about rescuing an animal or saving a person's life? And he said, yeah, it's a dog preventing somebody from getting hit by a car. I said, all right, go one above that. And he said, okay. And he thought this was a mentalism trick, like I was doing a magic trick. And he went one above that. And I said, is it violence? He said, yeah, it's a riot. And I said, is it one human hurting another human, or is it zoomed way out? He said, no, it's zoomed in on people fighting against police on a street. And I said, can you see faces? And he said, yep. And I said, now go one more above that. And he said, okay, you're not going to predict this one. And I said, I probably won't predict what you're looking at, but you're looking at something designed to make you worry about your health. And he said, yeah, they're talking about parasites. It was a video of them microwaving pork and these little worm things coming out. I don't know if it was real, but
Right.
that's what it was. So it's like, is something wrong with me now? Did I eat something bad? The world is a dangerous place. I pump up fear. If you pump fear up, you manufacture suggestibility automatically. So, and then, so you see a couple more violent ones, and then you'll see that ad like, well, we found this baby deer just walked up on our back porch one day, and we bottle fed him, and we named him Terry, and we raised him, and then it's a time lapse, and it shows him growing up and like sleeping in the bed, playing with the dog.
Yeah.
And then you scroll, and it's like, hey, have you seen these new shoes? They look great. How about this new watch? So you see an ad right after that. And it's not a human that designed this. It's just like, this gets revenue, and then let's optimize for that. And then let's keep measuring. This gets revenue, optimize, revenue, optimize. But my son came down in the kitchen the other day, and I mentioned some company. I can't remember what it was, because I was ordering something on DoorDash, like toothpaste or something stupid, to the house. And he's like, oh, did you know that's owned by the Rothschilds? And I turned, I looked at my son and I'm like, what? And it's like, he has been down these rabbit holes. He just didn't say anything to me. And then I was like, what do you know about that? And he's like, what do you know about that? So like every time he comes in now, he'll say the newest thing that he's got. And I'll say, yeah, that's true, but you need to look at this, this, and this. And he's like, how do you know this? But with all the stuff that we're seeing, I'm going to put you into a hypothetical scenario really quick. So you're watching TV, maybe nightly news, maybe the news on your phone. And they say, coming up after the break, woman who lives in whatever this neighborhood is called,
Spicewood,
is found missing, or was discovered to be missing today. Hours earlier, neighbors said that she was arguing with her boyfriend. Details after the break. Your brain says, I know who did it. I know what happened. But they don't give you the data. What they do is get this little piece of a Lego here and get another Lego here, almost to where they are touching, but they're not touching. And then you push them together and you feel clever. That's what gets you addicted to the information. I learned this detail. I learned this little plan. I learned about this little organization that's doing this little dark stuff, and I feel clever. That's how it gets you. 90% of my income comes from selecting juries and working on trials and stuff like that, and just teaching attorneys and stuff. I know nothing about the law. Mm-hmm. But the first thing that I teach every attorney is, you can win just about every case that you're ever going to work that's a jury trial if you can make the jury feel clever for having come up with a decision. And you will never in your lifetime make a jury feel clever as if it was their own decision if you connect the pieces for them. You have to just get these two pieces and kind of stick them together where all of them say, I'm putting them together. Because you know why? If we going back to all this conspiracy stuff, all these rabbit holes and stuff, if I can get you to look at these two things and then you do this with your own brain, anything that you think came from your own mind, you are unable to resist. So if I want to program you to do something, I'll just make you think it's your idea. Mm-hmm. and I'll make you feel clever for coming up with that idea. Even though I'm putting all these pieces out on the table, you don't realize what's happening. Your brain puts it together, and now your brain assumes ownership over the idea, and you do not resist your own ideas.
That certainly tracks my experience with these rabbit holes, because they give you a lot of information and then you start to put these things together. And so it's like, I'm creating this in myself. It's not so much of, I mean, sure, there's algorithms involved, but it's not like YouTube necessarily wants me to be watching these videos. Certainly not the higher ups. They don't want us keen to this stuff. And so even in our own way, because I did feel clever when I was putting this all together, and I go down, oh, this actually fits with this. And
for the record, I'm an expert on this stuff. I write papers, I write books on this. I train the government in a lot of this stuff. I'm as susceptible. I'm just as susceptible. So if anybody out there is like, oh, not me, then you're the most vulnerable. If somebody, like, you imagine going to Best Buy today and you get a laptop and the guy goes, hey, Mr. Adam, would you want some Norton antivirus on there? You're like, nah, bro, I don't get viruses on my computers.
Yeah.
That thought process alone makes you more vulnerable than everyone else. So, like, I can't get affected by this psyops. I'm not affected by the propaganda. And when you hear people say, oh, that's a psyop, that's a psyop, the reason we name psyops is so we can internally in our own head say, I know how to recognize it. And we're also very covertly way back here, we're saying, I'm not a victim of it. And I would recognize it if it was happening to me, but we wouldn't.
Yes, right.
And if it's a human brain that has not changed in 200,000 years versus a $1 trillion algorithm, that thing's going to win every time.
Yes.
Every time. Unless maybe that human brain is on some kind of surgical anesthesia and just knocked out.
Yeah.
Then the brain will win. It's terrifying to me. I've studied mind control. I study hypnosis and brainwashing and interrogation. I've spent time with cult recruiters and all of these people who kind of talk people into doing things that are not in their best interest, which is interrogation at its core. Mm-hmm. And timeshare salespeople. I spent time with them. I spent time with people. These are dudes in San Bernardino who talk college girls into doing adult movies and stuff. And all of them had that same thing in common. It made somebody feel different and kind of special, because we all have this little like me thing. If I hear a piece of information, I feel special, I feel different, and then I feel clever, in that order. That's all of them have that same process. You come into an interrogation room. I say, hey, I came in here. The reason I came in here today, I think you're a good person. Today's actually my day off. I work with really bad people all the time. And I can tell you what you did is not that big of a deal. I see people get over this all the time, and it's not a huge issue. So special.
Oh, yeah.
Different would be, in the interrogation room would be, and I know that you're a hardworking guy. We've talked to some of your neighbors. We've talked to some people that you work with. Honestly, I don't think this was your fault. I think anybody in your situation would have done the exact same thing. And it makes perfect sense to me.
Huh.
So it's following the same path no matter what we're looking at, from timeshare to interrogation to brainwashing. If I get you, and I don't want to harp on this point, but I want people to really understand, if I get you to think that an idea is yours, you have zero ability to resist it. Mm-hmm. None. Mm. And that's all I've got to do. So my job isn't to say, like, persuade you, convince you, do all this stuff, show you a bunch of spreadsheets, give you the Google form with the pie charts on it. I just make it your own idea, and you'll accept it automatically.
Dude, where are you still? Have you felt recently like I fell for that, or like your susceptibility? Are you do you track that at all, or you just know, like, or do you just have a different orientation?
I own these because of an Instagram ad.
Fuck yeah. Okay.
So I'm not immune in any way. And I hope that's a sign of hope for people. You know, that like, okay, if this brainwashing weird guy who studies hypnosis and stuff can still do it. But I do have an 8-minute limit on any social media on my devices. I don't have any social media on my phone. And when you see like I hate to say this publicly, but like you see my Facebook account liking somebody's comments,
Yeah.
making a post. That's not me.
Yeah.
But somebody has a really nice thing to say, my team will screenshot that person's thing, like to make my day or let me know that like I've helped somebody or helped somebody shift their mindset or something. They do send me those things.
I wanted to jump into the exit events, like, because you've shared with me a lot about them. So tell it, like, what are the exit events? Like, what are you going for them? What are some of the outcomes that you've been experiencing with your students in them?
It is most profound transformation I've ever seen somebody go through. It took me 5 years to kind of slate out how the event would go. And then I ran it by a team of 3 different psychiatrists to make sure that it was informed and not harmful. And obviously, we go through this harm reduction. And the overall goal was, can I take a person over the course of 4 days in a retreat? And I hate the word retreat because people might imagine like we're going to dye some tie-dye shirts together. We're going to tug of war on the beach at 1:00 after lunch, or like the trust fall, team building, corporate bullshit. But what can I do in 4 days to really show someone how we pretend and all the ways we think we're not pretending, but we are pretending. And then like reintroduce you to you. No doctrine, no guru, no leader. I don't even teach during the event. It's an experiential thing that you're going through because that's our first language. Because if you think about, if I held up a picture of the Mona Lisa right now to both of you, the first thing in your head would be the name of the painting, not an appreciation for the art. If I hold up a picture of a black triangle, the first thing in your head will be triangle. And before the experience. So language has come to a place where from our eye, we're going eye, language, and then experience. And it should be the other way around. And we've got people that memorize every phylum and genus and species of fern and willow tree and all this. And they walk through the woods, and that act of naming becomes a placebo of control. And it's like the placebo we get from looking at conspiracy stuff. We're looking at that stuff on the internet. It's like I have a placebo of understanding, and there is none. And the words should take a back seat to a lot of that, which is why so much of the exit retreat is a very experiential thing where you're going into yourself. And we typically do it in Mexico, and we do it in Tulum, and it's just like 25, 30 people, very small group. There's 2 doctors on staff there the entire time. And it is, I could cry talking about some of the people that went through this and like this profound shift they made.
Can you share it? I'd love to hear a story or two, like what someone came in and what the exit was like.
I think maybe the most profound thing would be to read that board that happens there. But a woman came through. She's in her mid-60s, and the final day of the event, she's just kind of crying a little bit, but she's crying because she wasted, like she had just now realizing that kind of I've spent this whole life pretending, which we're all going to keep pretending a little bit. There's always going to be some little performative aspect to what we are. But she was so sad that she felt like she didn't know herself until she was like 64. And she went home, and her husband wrote me a thank you letter, and her kids were like, we have a brand new mom. Like, this is the real person who's always been down here, who wasn't afraid of being socially wounded. And I call the fear of social wounds as our greatest fear as a species. This is why we hear public speaking is the number one fear of people. But the biggest thing that you get, if you look at every psychedelic journey that's ever been like documented that wasn't like some dudes took 5 grams and went and played golf, but like somebody did a therapeutic, supervised psychedelic journey. The results of all of them, if you were to amalgamate them into a sentence, like one sentence, and I've done this, it's taken me 5-6 years to do this. If you take all those reports of what we experience when we go into these therapeutic sessions, and I'm not just saying mushrooms or ketamine or ibogaine, all of them together. And the one sentence that would come out of there that most people learn, the most common thing is, it's not supposed to be a big deal.
Hmm.
And people hearing that, it sounds like one thing. It sounds like some motivational bullshit you'd hear at like a seminar or something. You need to be more motivated. It's not a big deal. But the whole thing's not supposed to be a big deal. You especially are not supposed to be Mr. Big Deal. And I retired from the military. I'd never been in a civilian job in my lifetime. And I'm almost 40. I've never held a civilian job. So I walked around with all these suits and ties, and I thought like you had to be special. I want to be special. Mm-hmm. And I did that for like a year until this mushroom journey just changed my entire being and just stripped me down that one night. And it was kind of gave me a little parade. Like I was sitting in a theater metaphorically, and I had all of my bullshit just kind of marched out on the stage. It's like, here's this thing. Take a look at this, bitch.
Yes.
Just over and over again. And I was like, wow, this is, I've been faking so much. So I wanted to it wasn't just the psychedelics. There's a lot of other things, but I wanted to hand that down to somebody. It's a super long answer to your question, but that's really what I wanted to do, was let people discover what their true self is underneath everything.
You told me about an experiment that you did with crystals and copper wiring in a group meditation.
It didn't work.
Oh, it didn't work?
No, it didn't.
Oh.
But I thought, I had this lady who's a client of mine who's an expert in all things energy, crystal stuff, which I am grossly ignorant about. And I said, what can we do to connect everybody and do all this stuff? And we put all this stuff together. I did it all, I think, almost according to all these specs. And I was excited. I thought maybe we're going to do something cool. And the first thought was like, maybe I can publish the paper. Instantly was like me going back. I'm going to be special. Yeah. I'm going to be special. People are going to like me.
Yeah. I love that.
But that's my first thought.
Yes.
But we set all this up exactly how she said. And it was kind of a fun experience. I don't think we got any results from it that I could measure anyway.
Does she have any experience with the community Dominator in Italy? Because their technology they use, I have one of their bracelets here, but their founder, his name's Falco, who's since transitioned on, but he started this community back in like the 80s. They built this underground, basically into the side of a mountain, temple called the Temples of Humankind. It's 7 stories. It's outside of Milan. It's amazing. But Falco could go back to past lives, and he understood this technology from Atlantis, and he brought this technology there. So they have like big ass systems that use copper wiring, crystals, and some other things.
What?
Like this right here has copper wiring and crystals on it. So I'd be interested, if she hasn't heard of Dominator, for her to like incorporate that into her understanding of how these things maybe work together.
Here's the thing I didn't tell her. Because I did tell her like I didn't see any results, but I went to Home Depot to get the copper wire. And I was in my head, I'm thinking, how could anything spiritual come from Home Depot?
Oh, so you already put that into the copper wire.
I did.
Yep.
I did. As I'm putting it like this like 90-pound thing of copper. And I'm putting it in the cart, and I'm like, this is where I buy drills and saws and things. This is where I buy the things that are opposite of spirituality.
Yes.
But I was thinking that as I was putting in my cart.
Yes.
And that stuff is way over my head.
Yeah.
And I think it's bigger than we are. Like the best way I've ever heard DMT explained is it is so much bigger than you that it's going to be very scary. but it doesn't care about you as much as you think. When you go in there, the only way you're going to have a bad experience is if you think you're special. Because that's it. Because if you don't think you're special and you're willing to be kind of ripped open by the DMT, then you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Thinking you're special is the only way you're going to have a bad time.
And that's where proper facilitation with the medicine work, and you brought up ketamine, and I've enjoyed in the past working with ketamine because it is an instant, this is all a game. It's a beautiful, it's just so like everything just makes sense. You get like, for me, get out of my head and into my heart, into like, in all like the stories become super clear that these are just stories. None of them are true. So it allows you to work in that space of, you stop giving a fuck, but you care about everything so much. And so it's both of those things, but you don't fucking care anymore because it doesn't matter. And some people can go and be like, it doesn't fucking matter. And they go down that rabbit hole, and that can be pretty dark. But like to hold it like everything matters and nothing matters. And I think the medicine space, again, when properly facilitated, it opens you up to that world. And then it's up to you to work on that outside of the medicine. And then if you need a tune up, again, like don't go chasing it, but it's available to you if done right. And it is just fucking mind blowing. And it doesn't have to be a terrifying experience, because it can be. You know, do 5 grams of mushrooms and shit's happening, and you will surrender at some point. It's just how challenging do you want it to be? And I think with something like ketamine, when properly, again, I can't express this enough, properly facilitated, it's less scary. I think part of what I've understood is ketamine does something in the brain where it turns off the fear portion. And so you're actually, if you're at some place where you're flying high and you're not, like, I'm afraid of heights, right? So I'm in that space and there's no fear. But if I'm in that in some other medicine, there may be more fear. But with ketamine, there's never, the only time there's been fear is like, oops, I self-administered a little too much. I wasn't quite ready for this. But that goes away when I just like, okay, this is where I'm at. So I got 30 more minutes, whatever that means.
Yeah, and ketamine's getting prescribed a lot more, like a lot right now. And I take it on occasion. I have a prescription for ketamine. It's like a dissolve it under your tongue kind of a thing. And one of the things that I think ketamine does, it turns off the things that the human cares about. And we still care about the things that are super important above a human level, like maybe our kids, maybe the family's important. And the one shift that I've gotten to in my life, and maybe this is super common, somebody's watching this like, oh shit, this is basic stuff. But I've gone from an I to an us. Like when I add me and you, it's always us. It's not Chase and Cal, or Chase and Adam, it's us. Everything is us. Driving on the highway with total strangers surrounding me, acting like dickheads. That's us. That's us doing this. And I think that shift was the most profound shift I've ever made in my life, is just seeing us on a regular basis.
Yeah. And so how, if you can kind of chart your journey to getting there, I mean, I do think there's a stage in there we were talking about earlier, is resolving with yourself first. And then I think it's probably the same thing where it's like what I was saying earlier with love. Once I get it here to myself, now I get to give it to you, because I'm loving all the parts of me. I get to love all the parts of you. And as you were saying before we got on, we're not connected. When we say we're connected, we're with that says that, right, there's a chance that we're not connected. And that's where we go wrong. It's like, no, we're always all connected. It's just, are we aware of it or not aware of it?
Yeah. And I think we're either connected, or even just me being connected to you means that we're two separate entities, which maybe we are. And I'm not saying I have some ground truth on anything. But if I just look at it as that's part of me, that's me, like it's all in a non-narcissistic way, like I am you in as much as anybody else is, And that's when the us starts coming in, the real capital U us to describe everybody. And I think that's a huge shift for people to make. But there's a grieving process. And the grieving process is special me has to kind of start stepping back. Then it's like, what am I going to do if I don't have the approval I used to have, if I'm not special? And if I make all this money, how are people going to know that I make all this money? You know what I mean? Like, I need to wear that Rolex.
Mm-hmm.
And a best line for this, man, in a Rolex store in Key West, I asked this guy, and I mean, I could afford a Rolex, but I asked this guy, like, why does somebody want to spend $70,000 on a watch? His response was so perfect. He said, it's because you can't take your yacht into the restaurant.
Yes.
Isn't that great? Like,
do you think he was trained on that? Do you think was that him, or is that do you think they get asked that line a lot, and so that's part of their training?
Had to have been some kind of training because he had it ready to go. It was, but it was so beautiful.
Did you buy the Rolex or no?
I've never owned one. I bought a couple fake ones in my life.
Me too. I've never owned a real one because of that. I'm like, it's just so obvious that like I'm trying to show you that I've made a lot of money or I can afford this, and it just never has felt good. I'm sure I've done it in other ways.
Yeah,
maybe more subtle to me, but to show you.
Same here. Yeah,
and again, I think it comes back to when we know who we are. Like when I finally learned, quite recently, honestly, I'm 54 now. Like, oh, I know who I am. Like, I don't care about any of those things because the people I know who I am too. And so I feel when those things come up now, before I even enact them, I'm like, oh, fuck, there's that old version of you.
Yeah.
It always comes back. It'll never go away. But now I'm very aware of it. And I get to chuckle at the former version of myself that used to put so much stock in those things. It's like, oh, that's so silly and amazing. And when I see someone, one of my friends or someone I don't know at a party or whatever, doing the things, as you said, like in a certain way, like that would trigger me, it's like, okay, so that's a version of me that I'm seeing that I am not okay with still. Because I've done all the things I've seen at parties, all of them. And it gives me a chance to love that version of because I have to do that first before I accept them for where they're at. So I've tried it. It doesn't work. Like I realize that there's something unprocessed for me, and I have the opportunity to change that and to love that part of me. And when I do, like that tension triggering, that charge goes away without me having to say anything to the person, explain anything. I just understand it. So I think so much of this work, and again, a lot of it what we're talking about today is centered around plant medicines. It doesn't have to be. For me, it's been pivotal. For you, it's been pivotal. You know, Adam's had some experience with it. His is more on the micro level. But it's all about getting to know who we are so we no longer give a fuck what other people think about us. It doesn't mean that a friend, Adam's not going to come to me like, hey, I think you're, what's going on? Because this isn't you. Yes, I care about that. But me caring about what I think other people think about me, because I've been in that world for a long time. It's like, oh, it's so good to not fucking care. And when it comes up, I know it's bullshit, and I get to explore, why do I care what this person may think? Why am I not saying the truth right now? Why am I, there's just like a little bit of a lie in there.
Yeah.
And I've recognized now, like when I'll send someone a text, I'll rewrite it a couple of times until I actually say the truth of like in super clear about whether I want to have a phone call with them or whether I like, it's like, what do I actually want? Because what they want is the truth. And if they don't, that's their shit. But like, why am I trying to make them feel better. It's a lie. It just is a fucking lie. It could be a small one, but it's not honest.
I think we should care what they think.
In what way?
I think that we should care what they think in a way that we're not dependent on what they think to define who we are as people. And I think that what we're really doing with people when we're doing that, like, look at this Rolex, that kind of thing, we're like, if they approve of us, we'll be like, yep, I'll go ahead and take that. I'll stick that right here. I'm going to take this little compliment and stick it on here. And I think that is meaning seeking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeking to mean something. So I think we can care about what they think without depending on it to mean something. But what we're secretly doing, one layer underneath that, is needing them to understand us in a certain way. And that's the trick. It's like, if you get over the fact, you don't have to like stop caring whatever other people think and like F you, because that kind of, I think a lot of people could feel like, well, that means I'm going to be a dick.
I want to really unpack this, because I think we're ultimately saying the same thing.
Yes, I think we are.
Tell me more.
It's just to where the feeling, it's easier, I think, to arrive at a place of just in your head saying, you know what, I don't think I need to be understood that well. And it's okay that maybe no one will ever understand me. My spouse,
I don't need to be understood.
Yeah.
I will give them the opportunity to understand me by being honest with them and clear.
And kind.
Yeah. And again, when I just like saying I don't give a fuck. But with that, I think people think like, I don't like it's got a negative connotation to it. But I want to be very clear, like, I don't give a fuck in like the best possible way.
Yeah.
And I love people so deeply now, more than I did before, because I know who I am. I love myself in the non-narcissistic way, and I love everybody else. I'm working on getting them to the level of, because there's still triggers for me. Amazing. Like, that's what they're here for, to show me where I'm not free in my own space.
And I've ridden in the car with you before, a couple hours. And like somebody will let you in and you'll still wave, even though it's a stranger. But the reason that we do those things is now because I'm not using that as a tool. I'm not using my smile or my raising my eyebrows or my nodding to get you to see me a certain way. I'm using it as an act of kindness and not in a way that I'm trying to shift your perception of who I am.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. It's funny because recently I've noticed that I fucking wave to people all the time. Like when I'm driving, we used to do it. Lindsay and I grew up in a small town in Maine, and that's just what you did on the country roads. Like, you'd be driving, someone driving the other way. You didn't know them, but you just give them the little wave off your steering wheel.
Yeah.
And so now I notice, like, when I go through construction sites or whatever, like, I'm looking to see if any of the flag people or anybody like happen to look at me, and I'll just give them like, hey, because like that feels good for me. It's like a little, like, I could just be listening to my music, doing my thing, but I get these little touch points with people throughout the day. And it's like, these motherfuckers don't get that generally. They're there doing their thing, doing their job. And it just, same thing at the airport. I love traveling now because I'll go in, the ticket lady, I'll give her something just a little different than she gets. The guy at TSA, checking my ID, the one I'm going, like, I just make it a practice to do that, and it lights me up. And I'm sure it makes them feel better because someone fucking sees them. They're not just this person that they're angry at because they got to go through security now because of fucking September 11th. It's like, it's like a pattern interrupt. And for me, I traveled a decent amount. There are times I fucking didn't like going through the airports. And it's like, I get to choose in every moment of my life what experience I want to have. If I want security to be shitty, I'll fucking have my head down. I'll have that energy. But when I start, doesn't mean I'm not going to get pulled over and randomly searched. And when I do, I don't fucking care. Like, big deal. This guy's doing his job. He doesn't want to be fucking touching my stuff any more than I want him to. And so I make it fun, like fucking no big deal, But it has taught me, And again, this is recent for me over the last 2-3 months. Like my entire life has changed because of a choice that nothing else changed in my world except how I decided to look at the world. And it's so liberating.
It is. And it's not you don't need to go to 55 different YouTube videos that say, here's 39 ways to do this. And here's the 7 steps to emotional freedom and all that. It's most of our problems come down to mindset and what camera angle we're looking at the world at. Like we're zoomed way the hell too far in most of the time. And we just need to grab that camera like Google Maps or Google Earth and just pull it up and be like, if you pull it up far enough, you're going to be like, oh, I thought that was a big deal. I'm sorry about that. That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And then let it kind of fall back down a little bit. But every once in a while, you need to have a hand on that camera so you can pull that thing back up. And I think perspective is the root of most of our mental suffering is perspective.
Okay, so what are you tracking right now?
With what?
Just like maybe the PSYOP world, or do you have another one of your amazing videos you're going to put out that you're working on right now? Is there any? Yeah, what's been going on?
I just put out a couple of videos, but it's a video about the history of PSYOPs, and it's on my YouTube channel. And we hired a film crew for this. We did some research on how everything was built, how it was all programmed, and it takes some courage to admit that it's probably still going on today, because we always see these government files come out. Like, oh, there's this big release. They release this stuff from 1965, and we're like, yeah, we've been doing that for 300 years, and this decade, yes, but they're probably not doing that today.
Yeah, we shut it down.
They're not doing that today, and every generation thinks that. They're like, I get it. There's 1,000 years of proof right here, right on the table, but I don't think they're doing that today.
That's that's my standard segue for talking about the shape of the earth with people. I'm like, before we even talk about the shape of the earth, like, because it's too enormous to deal with it. Like, I just run through the 20th and 21st century history of PSYOPs. And I'm like, like World War I, there's a lie that started that. World War II, there's a lie that started that. The Gulf of Tonkin, and fuck it, let's just make it up. The Twin Towers, no one believes that. But if you, so you kind of set the groundwork because I have this thing that Americans view current events through an ahistorical lens. We're pretty honest about, we have a capacity to be honest about our history, but whenever we're in the midst of a current event, we just line up and believe. But if you get people in the middle of that to be like, hey, wait a minute, well, this was a lie, and that was a lie, and this was a lie, and this was totally made up, and this thing even never happened, then they can kind of get open to the fact that maybe the thing we're going through right now could also be a lie.
Yeah. And can I give you a line to add on to that to help convince them?
Yeah.
You just ask this one question. If I have a theory that all chickens are red, how many green chickens does it take to completely disprove my theory?
Huh.
Just one.
Just one.
Just one hole. And you just get them to start with that mindset.
I like that.
It'll be a lot easier to talk to them after that.
What's so interesting, and also, the whole thing that's going on with like Israel and Gaza and October 7th is human beings' willingness to ignore the PSYOP that's right in front of their face. Like, you got the thing that you want to believe. We all have our home teams, and we'd like to believe in the honor and integrity and virtue of our home team. But if like at what point do you have to realize, like, shit, man, like maybe the home team cheated, maybe the home team was disingenuous or manipulated, but boy, can there just be this intractable capacity for believing that your home team is always the right team.
Yeah. Do you have you ever read the Hermetic Principles? Ancient Hermeticism?
I'm familiar with the 7 principles. I studied them a little bit in the spring. Yeah.
So the second is the law of correspondence.
Law of correspondence.
It's as above, so below. As below, so above. And if we are around our family members and some shit starts going down around the house, neighborhoods burning down, whatever it is, family first. If shit's going down a little bit larger, it's, hey, our community first. Let's take care of each other in the community. It's happening around the city. Like, hey, let's put our city first. Let's put our state first. Let's put our nation first. And I think that's kind of, it goes down to that, where I have an allegiance. If I'm seeing a fight between all these things, I have an automatic, a pre-programmed allegiance to the country itself.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime that we develop an allegiance, here's psychologically speaking, from a behavioral psychology perspective, I develop an allegiance to, let's say, dad. Let's just start small. I develop an allegiance to dad. Dad starts getting a drinking problem. Dad starts drinking a little too much. Well, he's stressed out. He had a rough day, had a rough year, had a rough 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. So we start developing cognitive biases around anything where we have an initial allegiance.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have an initial allegiance, my brain will literally delete conflicting data.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of that. And I'm not saying that we have to say that, fuck everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Or, everybody's made mistakes, but it's important that we don't let a cognitive bias prevent us from seeing the mistakes that we might be making, mistakes that dad might be making. Because dad's a human too. And we all grow up and if we're lucky, we're like 14 when we realize dad's not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
If we're not, you're like 2 or 3 and you realize your life is a lot worse, right? But the moment we develop an allegiance, our brain says, okay, do this, and this is what we're going to look for. And the most important thing I've ever learned in psychology is that we all, if we're really, really honest, we think that our brain is a truth-seeking machine. Our brain's job is to become a defense attorney to prove your ass right in anything we look at. So if I have that little allegiance, my defense attorney goes up there and be like, we're going to strike that from the record.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And we're going to focus on this one thing. So our brains are not in any way a truth-seeking mechanism.
And that's why it never works when two people are talking about 2 different religions or whatever. They're 2 different sides of, abortion.
Yeah.
They're never going to have common ground because, there are maybe some cases where people are open to it, but generally they're defense attorneys on just striking everything you're saying.
Yeah.
And just coming in with our points that we believe to be true.
Yeah. So let's say we show a sentence, whatever it is, any sentence, to 2 people. One person sees the sentence and feels a sense of spirituality and oneness, and the other one sees it and is contemptuous and disgusted by it. So language itself is not a measurement of truth. It's a measurement of loyalty to an idea. The way that we even process, not even speaking, the way that we hear and language and then come up with a response to it is a measurement of loyalty only and not any kind of truth.
And we see that happening all the time, and that how angry people get if you're not expressing the loyalty immediately. Like all this hubbub about Tucker Carlson interviewing Nick Fuentes. I saw most of the interview. And I'm like, it was a really good interview. This guy's kind of thoughtful. He definitely loves his country. And it was a really, really good, beneficial conversation. Holy shit. This person has no right to speak. You have no right to give them an opportunity to speak. They don't, but no one's saying what the guy actually said in the interview. It's got to be shut down.
Yeah. So that's when I teach how brainwashing works. I have some courses on this that I teach online and all over my YouTube channel. We talk about brainwashing, psyops, and all that. But it's in 3 layers, and most people operate in layer number 1. So true brainwashing, true control, goes into ideas first. So let me give you an idea. You might accept this idea. Then ideology. Now I start recruiting you into a belief system. So you start adopting a belief system. So ideas, ideology, and then identity. And the moment it becomes identity, the truth dies.
Yeah.
Truth is dead.
Yeah.
The moment it's instead of me saying, I agree mostly with these values or these values, that's ideology, right? Little ideas and ideology. And then it's I am. these values. I am this.
Yeah.
I am a Republican. I am a Democrat. Now it's a piece of identity. And it's exactly, and we're hardwired to fight against other tribes.
Yeah.
In 1950s, way before social media, you'd have the Mets and Yankees fans outside the stadium busting each other's teeth out just because they have a different jersey on. And all politics has become a game of jerseys.
Yeah.
What jersey do you wear? And then you hear people talk about their political team like we did it. We're going to win this election. Just like when the Eagles are out there playing and the Eagles fans are going, we had a good season. We, I am part of that.
Yes.
You have nothing to do with the Eagles. There's no we. But that's because we got ideas, ideology, and then identity. And the moment you get identity compromised, the reality starts just eroding, and your brain becomes a hyperactive defense attorney to just prove you right. And if I can get you into identity, this is how I can get you to do more and more and more crazy shit. Because I get you to do one today, and now you're like, oh, I'm willing to do that, so I bought into this identity. And now how do I make it permanently sealed into your brain? I get you to share it in front of people. Because judgment is our biggest fear.
Oh, wow.
So now I get you to make a social media post about this one little cause that you support, this one little thing. You share it in front of people. Now I've manufactured cognitive dissonance in your brain to never go away from that identity because you made it public.
So what you're talking about right now is like a perfect analysis of when Megyn Kelly, part of her, I just saw the clips on social media. Megyn Kelly had Ben Shapiro on her show. And like Ben was trying to do that exactly. Like Ben was trying to get her, like it was obvious that Megyn wasn't in complete agreement with Ben's identity. And he was trying to get Megyn to make a public statement right there so that she would be locked into an identity. And she was resistant to it. And he was short-circuiting. It was wild. And that's exactly, your analysis of that is perfect. I want to ask you a tool when you're faced with that. What I used to do with my mom, bless her soul, she passed away a little over a month ago.
Bless your life.
I used to say, I know it's terrible that my thinking doesn't agree with your thinking. I can imagine how hard that is. That's really terrible. I didn't have many techniques to go beyond that, but I used to say like, I can't imagine how hard it is, because I know it's very important to you, that I don't think the way you might like me to think. Do you have any, like, how was that as a technique, or do you have some techniques, especially from a, that sucks?
No, it doesn't suck at all. But if you're dealing with any of that, step one, find common ground. Step two, observe how small the issue really is. So you might say something like, you know what? I'm glad we agree on so much, and we share a lot of the same beliefs. And I love the fact that these smaller things like this, we can differ in, and we have these little differing opinions on. But both of us, if we really went down and spent a couple hours doing this, we would all want the same things. And this is what you could say to anybody that's on the other side. Like the stuff you see on social media, the people like flipping over police cars and the bricks through the windows, and like those beautiful clips of people like yanking phones off the thing at the Apple store and like running out with them, which are never going to work. Like, what do they do? I always wonder what they do with this shit. But we see this stuff. That is the fringe of the fringe of the fringe. And why do we see so much of that? Why do we see only that thing? You're going to see the stupidest POS moron on the right or the left, depending on what you follow on social media. Mm-hmm. They're going to show you the dumbest idiots that they could ever possibly find. And why do we do that? Why do we get addicted to that? Because our brain is a defense attorney whose job is to prove you right. And when you're proven right all the time and you feel righteous and you feel good about yourself, and there's some violence, a little animal rescue video, those idiots on the other side, bam, how about these new shoes? How about you grab a watch from us? And that's what happens. So the division, like if people say like, oh, I'm a Republican and I hate Democrats, or they spent some time on social media, we're wired to fight other tribes. But if you really think, the last time that you were in Target or Walmart or a grocery store and you saw a Democrat They were not the people that you saw on social media. They want to feed their kids. They want to pay lower taxes. They want to have good health. They want their kids to be safe in schools. They want the same things. Like 99% of these people. And we get exposed to fringe every single day. And they to have one goal in common. They all want you to think one thought. They want you to think, oh my God, these people are fucking crazy. That's all they want you to think. Because the moment you start destabilizing a nation, they become hyper suggestible, extremely easy to control. China these two Chinese researchers wrote a whole paper on this called Unrestricted Warfare, where they were theorizing in the U.S. What's called asymmetric warfare. And in the United States, or a country like the United States is the terminology they use, is asymmetrically superior. So we have to use psychological warfare. We have to use economic, cyber warfare. But in the psychological warfare piece of this is we will best achieve destabilization through division and disunity. That was translated from Chinese. Who knows what the original words meant, but that was the translation of it. And you can buy Unrestricted Warfare on Amazon. It's like $5 or something. I have no idea, but it's a terrifying book that shows you everything that's happening today. And there's a Russian named Yuri Bezmenov, KGB guy, I think former KGB guy, who came here in the 90s and made this video. You guys,
1983.
83. I was 2 years old when that came out. And he goes through this plan, and you're like, yes. He goes through this big program, and like we're already doing that. But just like what we talked about with science, we're doing that with politics. We're only looking at what's recent. We're only looking at an enemy that we know of right now, not an enemy that started 45 years ago. So we tend to say, oh, this is China. We have all these geopolitical advisors that say this is China because that's recent. So what we're really looking at is, I'm going to look at the current landscape, and I'm only going to look at it in terms of current events and not past events that have started a long time ago. I don't know even what the question was, but that's my answer to it.
Are you, your daughter is about to go to public school for the first time. That's
Yes.
like somebody who's so trained in propaganda and psyops and so forth. Like, what are your feelings about that?
You know what my kids think? When I have a question for my kids and I'm trying to teach them something, and I'm saying, maybe my kid, my son William, I'd say, here's exactly what you need to say. Here's what you need to do. Here's all this stuff. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he comes later, like a week later, he's like, Dad, I found this video on YouTube, which is like elementary school level psychology stuff. So it's, no matter how good you are at brainwashing, I think you're still the old douche dad when it comes to giving advice to your kids. There's nothing special about me. I can tell them, like, do you know how much I invoice people to give them this kind of advice? And he's like, no. Oh, wow, that's impressive. And then I go right back to getting advice somewhere else.
Yeah, I've had the same experience just as someone who's been into health and wellness and fucking just through this journey. You know, I've been doing this podcast for 5.5 years. And so I've been deep in that work. And I used to be frustrated at times where I'm like, you know, my son was having like struggles with like just some, let's call it health stuff that like I know like a fair amount about. And not only that, but I have so many close friends that know way more about this stuff. It's like, we've got all, like, you've got the best dad for this, because between me and all my resources, like, you're good, and just didn't want it. And so I had to let go of that. And I am here to say that now my daughter 18, boys 19 and 22, like, that's all out the window, because I stopped giving them what I thought they wanted, and I started listening to what they actually wanted and just meeting them there.
Yeah.
And it is, dude, you can't imagine, because I was in those struggles, and it's like, what the fuck, you know? And it's like, because they'll tell you what they need, period. And they have to go through their bits of indoctrination
They do.
Because we had to go through ours. And it's so important to go through that for me so that I know what that feels like. They're not going through it nearly as long as me. And that's what's blowing my mind. It's like, oh, these kids are already very awake. And I just get to listen to them and I get to hear what's really important to them. And so maybe the health thing isn't as important to them as it is to me. Clearly that was the case.
Yeah.
Or they weren't ready to heal the thing that I had the fucking genius plan. It's the same thing with our wives, right? Our partners are like, stop. How many times have we heard this? Stop giving me solutions. Just listen to me.
Yeah.
Fucking listen and feel what I'm feeling and help just hold that for me. And as I've started to do that quite recently with Peyton, like it's a little bit destabilizing. She's like, who the fuck is this guy after 25 years? Like, so she's not sure what to do with it, but I'm giving her what she's wanted, but it's so foreign that it's taking her some time, I would say, to recalibrate to then. It's like, amazing. I get it. If it takes fucking 25 years, like I'm here for it.
Yeah,
like
let's do it.
I'm good. I'm good now. But it is just like fucking, it comes down to listening and just being there.
There's a Mark Twain quote. I don't know if you've heard it, but he says, when I was 18, I was embarrassed at what a fool my father was.
Mm.
And when I returned from college at the age of 22, I was amazed at how much he had learned in only 4 years. So I think that Mark Twain encapsulated that you just back off and your kids need some time and they need their own thing. My son was arguing with me once about what's an appropriate way to deal with some kid at school and all this. And he's like, yeah. Well, I think I know what to do. And I said, I can call Dr. Phil right now. Mm-hmm. Like I could FaceTime Dr. Phil and he'll tell you, and he'll be like, yeah, but he'll just agree with what you said.
That's how they look at adults, right? Like,
I know.
It's going to go to bat for each other.
We're going to trick you into this. Yeah. We're going to trick you into health.
Yeah.
And trick you into good advice and all that stuff.
Well, because what it runs counter to is the programming we all had, not just from how we were raised, but how we were observing how to be raised. And what a good dad does is you give your kids this information. This is important information. It's like, no, you let them have the experience that actually teaches them, because we never learn from something someone's told us. We just don't. We may know something about something, but until we've been on the wrong side of a psyop, we don't really know what that feels like. It's all these experiences are so important. And so all those books that say, let your kid have the skin knee or whatever. Yes. Like be there. Don't just abandon them to have their own experience, but also let them have their own experience and validate that experience for how it is for them, not what you think it should be. Because I've done that before too. And it's like, no, just fucking listen. Don't stand up for the friend that you think your kid's being an asshole to. Listen to what your kid is saying. And we don't always have to be nice.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, we've really learned, because I think that was one of the things, I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, but one of the things Peyton struggled with, because Peyton sees the good in everyone. My wife is like, so if one of my kids is motherfucking one of their friends, Peyton will come to the kid's defense, which she used to, because she knows the kid is sweet and the kid's probably hurting and there's something going on. It's like, yes, that's all true. And the most important thing right now is for our kid to know that I fucking hear you. I got you. This sucks. What else? And then eventually when the kid is cooled off and the charge is gone, maybe the next day or whatever, we can try to help repair that relationship. But I mean, so it comes from Peyton's huge heart, and what she was missing was, in this case, like Hope just wanted you to listen. She just wanted to vent. And it's a safe place because we're not going to go tell her friend, right? We're going to let you say whatever you need to say.
Yeah, if you take a hero's journey like a Spielberg movie and you just pick that little hero of the movie up by the back of his shirt, take him over all that conflict and just stick him at the end, there's no fulfillment. He has no life. It's not entertaining to us. There's no good story. There's no development. There's no lessons learned. There's no like the call to action, the refusal of the call, the trials, tribulations, and solutions. You're just kind of going, you know what I can do for you, son? I'm going to pick you up right here. We're going to walk about 15 yards. I'm going to put you right there. And I think that's why maybe they, without knowing it, we're so wired for archetypes that they know that there's things that they need to endure. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. And I would say with my kids, they know now when they're in one, it's like, okay, like this is like you're in a season right now where this sucks.
Yeah.
You know, I'm here to say that it will get better. It always has. But like also, like, how are you doing? Like, this sucks. Crashed your car. Broke up with your girlfriend, boyfriend, and not try to rush them to the healing, to the other points of the journey. You know, it's like Peyton gave an amazing speech. I don't even want to call it a speech, but she gave a talk at Lauren Strong Mom event yesterday. And dude, I was in tears because I've never seen my wife. I don't even know how to, like, it was as good a presentation as I've ever seen. And it was for women about menopause and and there's some other things in there, but it was like so important for everyone to hear. And she was just so in her element. But within that, she gave the story of the emperor moth, I believe, right, Linz? Yeah. Guy finds the cocoon or whatever, and he's holding it, and then it eventually is ready to emerge, but it's fucking struggling. It's really struggling. So the guy just does what a lot of people might do, and he clips some scissors, just clips it a little bit, makes it a little bit easier, right? So the moth comes out, and you know, it's like its body's still a little swollen, and the wings actually don't work, and so the moth actually isn't able to fly because it didn't go through its full hero's journey. And we can do that with our kids. We can do that with our partners when they're in something. We can do it with our friends, whatever. But it's just recognizing in our own life how hard those things were and what came out, the fucking gold that came out of that. And if we can just reflect always back to our own experience and how important those things were, we can get out of the fear that something bad is going to happen to our kids or our partner. It's like, I don't know what it is. No one knows what's on the other side of this, but there is something that I can't even imagine that may take a year, 5 years, a month, whatever, but it will continue to reveal itself, the real treasure in this whole experience. And so that's what's really helped me stand back, support, and listen.
That's beautiful.
Oh,
really beautiful, man.
It's hard though, right? Because we are programmed to protect our kids.
You know what is helpful for me is if it's my kids, my wife, family member, is to think about the Kubler-Ross grief cycle. And my first
I'm not
step,
familiar with that.
I want to identify where they are in that. So it's a model for grief, and all models are wrong. Every model is wrong. Some models are useful. I think this one's useful. And it's the stages that we kind of go through to process grief or to grieve something, even if it's like my friend was a dick to me today, and some of it's like maybe I lost a pet or a relative, and it's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. So what we tend to do, we see somebody in the anger phase, or we see somebody in this little denial anger phase, maybe in the bargaining phase. If I could just do this, if I could do that. And we want to pick them up and just put them down in the acceptance thing. But there's a cycle that we need to go through. And spotting what cycle someone's in has become important to me for sure. Not just because, I need to get them to the next stage, which is helpful, but just so in my head, I know that there's a few steps to go. I know that we don't have to solve it today. I know you can get a couple of REM cycles. It's not going to kill you. And that's been really helpful. And like that John, what's the guy that wrote that book? Women are from Venus and Men Are From Mars. John Gray,
John
that was his name.
Mm.
He had such a good message about that stuff. And just listening is what we can't do well. There's another guy, his name's Alan Pease, and him and his wife, Barbara and Alan Pease, they wrote this book called Why Men Don't Listen and Women Can't Read Maps. And it is so good for understanding the differences between like men and women, and just fundamentally on a neurochemical level. And I'd recommend that if you have time. It's a short read, very short read.
I'm curious, is this might be a little too revealing, but I'm going to go with it. Is there something in the relationship of men and women, to your understanding, either of you, where it's not as veiled as I want it to be, but that she expects you to kind of read her mind, know what she's thinking?
Because I'm a body language expert, or because
no, in general for men and women, because I think one of the things, Peyton's a great communicator, better than me in that. But sometimes I fall into the trap of like not knowing what she's thinking, and she has maybe some expectation that I know what she's thinking, how she reacts in certain situations, which is true. And I don't know what I meant to do to support in that. And so, yes, I could say, how can I support you? I know that's for me to do. But I think sometimes we get stuck where I should know what she's thinking. Is a little bit of an expectation. Is that common in male-female relationships to your understanding?
I don't study them, but I'm in one.
Okay.
And doing what I do for a living, and somehow being voted this number one body language expert, which I don't even really teach body language, but she will oftentimes, and she'll confirm this, will come up and be like, I don't know what I'm feeling, and expect me to just dig it out.
Look at me. What do you see?
Yeah. She's like, I don't know what's going on. And then I'll just roll into a little interrogation. We'll start some interrogation. And I say, oh, well, I brought this up and you started blinking 5 times faster than normal. You breathed into your chest instead of your stomach. So there's some stress right here. Let's talk about that. So we'll do it like an interrogation, politely.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what you think.
Maybe you call it an inquiry.
Inquiry. Yeah.
Interrogation doesn't really match your relationship. I hope. Well, maybe it does. No judgment.
So when my wife was pregnant and breastfeeding, I used to have this line called assert and contain. And assert means that I needed to interpret her needs or desires before she expressed them to me or anyone else. And I had to assert them on her behalf. And then all like the rage, indignation, stress, whatever she was feeling, I had to contain all the emotion. And then when she wasn't looking, I could dump the emotion. But the advice that I always give to my friends, and that's say, never break contain. Never defend yourself. Never make an excuse. Just say, honey, I love you. I'm sorry. Okay, tell me, give it to me. What is it? What's going on? Just contain it. When they're not looking, you can talk to a friend. Or you can just, can you believe that crazy? You just dump it over there. But I think in relationship, I think when you get older and your kids are older, like it changes. But like when the woman is pregnant, when the woman is breastfeeding, like you absolutely need to do your best to sense what their needs are and assert them on their behalf before they express it. Because once they express it, they're already going to be a little angry and disappointed in you.
Yeah. So you're like
next. By the way, I don't think many men do that. I'm really impressed that like you. That is like.
Oh, I broke it down. Assert and contain. And by assert, it's not your needs; it's their needs, and then contain all their emotions because they're going through so much.
But not making like that's what we've been. I mean, I finally figured that piece out, but that was the missing link for me.
Never break contain. Just don't break. Once contain breaks, oh my God, it's so much worse. It just goes on and on.
Love that. You kind of become the baking soda in the fridge for her.
100%. Totally true. Yeah. Still to this day, like whenever I break contain, I'm like, fuck, I broke contain. It's going to be shitty for the next couple of hours. And then, it'll be better. So.
That's good.
Well, we've got about, it's 3:10. Got a little bit of time left. Is there anything What do you got for us in your treasure chest there? What do you get any holy fuck, this is fucking interesting. Not to put you on the spot, but I'm going to.
Yeah. Intranasal insulin is fucking amazing.
Intranasal insulin.
Insulin.
Explain, because I've never considered insulin.
Bottle of insulin.
Mm-hmm.
You pop that baby open. You put it in like a little nose sprayer from Amazon.
Yep.
You should do this through your doctor. They have these in prescription form. But there's over-the-counter insulin you can buy.
Wait, what is insulin again?
So insulin is what your pancreas naturally produces to lower intracellular glucose. And they started experimenting with this like 15 years ago, give or take. And I don't think they knew at the time why it worked. But when people with Alzheimer's were starting to use this insulin, it really helped them. And it started stopping the progression of the disease. It is one of the most amazing cognitive enhancements that you can do. And it's relatively safe if you follow what your doctor says. Obviously, none of us are giving anybody advice here. But if you do some research on this, it's well documented. And if you look at Alzheimer's and all of these memory loss conditions, especially Alzheimer's, did you know what they're renaming Alzheimer's to?
No.
Type 3 diabetes.
Yeah, type 3 diabetes in your brain. And just having it there, because I'm trying everything I can. I've been experimenting like crazy. I have a hyperbaric, like a solid steel hyperbaric chamber at my house, which I do pretty regularly. And this intranasal insulin, a friend of mine, his name's Dr. John Lawrence, introduced it. Who you and I both know.
On the pod, a number of times. Yeah.
He introduced me to this concept, and I've tried it, and I've just started about 2 weeks ago. So if you lay, and this is me experimenting, not from any research whatsoever, but if I lay back and tilt my head backward, like I'm laying on the kitchen counter, maybe my head's like tilted back, and just one squirt in there, and I let this insulin sit back there on the top of your mouth. It's called.
You got to keep your head in the same position.
Yeah, just for a minute or two. It's called the cribriform plate, or we can absorb stuff into our brain sometimes through that little area, especially if somebody's given you something beforehand to help you absorb things and open up the blood-brain barrier. There's a chemical called mannitol that you can get intravenously that opens blood-brain barrier.
Could you take a little niacin?
You could. Little no-flush niacin, heparin would help it to work.
Okay.
But if anybody knows anybody that's looking for a huge cognitive boost and like trying to do that, talk to a doctor obviously first. But people who have family members that have Alzheimer's should really look into it. And you already know about methylene blue. And I think methylene blue is the single thing, if I had to point to one, that has probably saved my life. My wife gave birth to our daughter 2 years ago on Christmas Eve, and driving her in the driver's seat, driving all the way to the hospital, checking her into labor and delivery, getting checked into the room where they're going to, put these monitors on and listen to the baby and stuff. I had no clue who she was. Hours. I thought she was a roommate, maybe my sister, a friend, a family member. Obviously, I knew that there was trust going on, and she trusted me. And I knew that if I faked it long enough, I would remember who she was. And I was not mentally there for a very long time. And somehow I kind of started coming back right as the labor started, and put a Bluetooth music on in there and all this stuff. I finally came back, and that was it. Like that was the demarcation line of like, I'm going all in. I don't care how much I have to spend. I don't care how much research I've got to do. And I started doing all these experiments, and methylene blue turned out like if I stop taking it, I have seizures. It's that simple. I think the last time I came out here, I was going on Rogan, I think. And I had like 9 seizures the day right before I went on Rogan, or 3. And I forgot to take methylene for like 3 days, and then the seizure started. So doing that has changed me a whole lot. And then the intranasal insulin so far after 2 weeks is...
You have to dilute it in some saline, or it just comes straight? It's just a 1-to-1.
I don't know how most pharmacies will do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk about preparation.
Yeah. Okay.
So are you saying for someone like me, what would be the benefits of me trying that?
There's definitely a boost in memory and cognitive data processing, where you're able to take data and sort it. So what they call like cognitive filing and cognitive storage processes in the hippocampus is just like a big filing cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes that process a lot faster, which reduces the amount of cognitive load
Mm-hmm.
on the big parts of our brain where we're thinking a lot, the dorsal medial prefrontal cortex and all of this frontal area of our brain. And it acts as a cognitive function enhancer so much. And let me give you one more holy shit. There's an Alzheimer's drug that you can buy on Amazon, and it will make you have the most lucid dreams you have ever had in your life. And it's usually a prescription. I don't know how it's on Amazon, but it's called galantamine. And I'll give you the quick neuroscience rundown of this.
Yeah.
I
I would have grabbed my phone and ordered it already.
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
I'll send you a link.
Yeah.
And I don't have there's no like click the link below. There's no affiliate. I have
Mhm.
not related to the company. Don't know anything about the company whatsoever. And there's multiple companies. Get it from wherever you want. So we have a chemical in our brain that helps us to store and retrieve memories, and it's called acetylcholinesterase. And galantamine acts as a acetylcholinesterase inhibitor. So this kind of eats up acetylcholine is what we use. Acetylcholine esterase helps to digest acetylcholine. So this galantamine acts as an ACE inhibitor. So it helps us have a little bit more acetylcholine to help our hippocampus work and help our memory function work. And if you take it before you go to bed, get your ass ready, man. It is so amazing. And if you ever want to retrieve more data, way more data than usual from a psychedelic experience that's legal, supervised, doctor approved, and all that stuff, galantamine does not interfere with psilocybin.
Do you wake up groggy the next day? Any side effects? Or?
I've done it for about 4 weeks, and I have no next day side effects at all.
Did you do it? Is there like a 5 days on, 2 day off, or a cycle, or you take it every day or on occasion?
I take it about 5 days and skip 2, mostly because I forget.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you have to go off that I know of. I would look it up. I'm very experimental with my brain, probably in a borderline irresponsible way,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm desperate to never experience that. Like, I don't know who my wife is anymore. That same week for 2 days, I thought my dog was fake, like not real. So it was a pure break from reality. It was terrifying.
When's the last time you had seizure?
That day before Rogan.
It was. I remember
My
I had talked
birthday.
to Adam when that had happened, and you had just told me how it had been a while, and it just happened. I was like, "Oh fuck!" And then you were going everywhere. You're like, "Okay, this isn't happening again." I know you went up to California, and you were going.
Yeah, I've seen all the top neurologists in the country to help me kind of put this formula together that I follow on a very regular basis for my brain. And it is, I think it's not only restabilizing, but I think it's rebuilding, not rebuilding like dead areas where there's scar tissue, which as far as we know, we can't do that. But we have, people talk about neuroplasticity all the time, but there's a different type of plasticity called synaptic plasticity, to where if I have 2 neurons here and there's a dead area, these things will just kind of wire around that little area and start talking to each other. And if it's functional, like if it's like, oh, this is making Chase's day better or making Chase's brain work better, they'll get married. And then these other neurons down here will start getting divorced when they can and when they need to. And then they'll also start wrapping around and getting married up here. So that's synaptic plasticity, which is not the exact same as neuroplasticity.
One of the things you had said before on our last podcast was one of the benefits or side effects, whatever you want to call, is you just write a ton. Is one of the I guess benefits of having this condition. Are you still writing as prolifically, or has that dampened a little bit with this, potential synaptis, whatever you fucking called it?
Yeah.
Like, is that changing?
Not really. I still have impulse to write, to the point where I'll just be listening to a podcast and I'll write down everything that they're saying. I will never go back and look at those notes, but I have like a irresistible urge to just fill sheets of paper. It's still there. And you see, I just got another book that came out. It's sitting on the
When
counter
is
over
that
there.
due to be released?
December 1.
Oh, do you want to talk a little bit about that before we wrap, about this new
Sure.
book? Yeah. How about that? We got a new book. We should probably talk about that, huh? We almost missed that one, Jeff.
So the book is called Tongue, a Cognitive Hazard. And the book is designed to be a kind of cognitive hazard that if you read it in order, it's going to do something in your brain. And it's not like a book where you're going to read it normally. The text isn't on the page normally. It's the most unusual book I think most people are ever going to pick up. But it's written in such a way that if you go line by line, it's going to start unplugging language step by step by step throughout the book. It's unhooking you from what I call a linguistic control. And if you fill out like all these criteria that make up what a parasite is, language fills all those things. It occupies a host without them knowing. It transmutes itself to other people. It modifies itself over time. And all of these other criteria that make up what a parasite is, that's language. And language kind of developed a parasitic relationship with us. Not that it's inherently evil, but that language comes in front of reality. Did we talk about the triangle thing, or was that off camera? The picture of a triangle or the Mona Lisa? I think we were on
said
camera.
The Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it's to a point where if I hold up a picture or I hold up a number on this, you'll say that the name of that thing first and then have the experience of it. If you're watching a sunset, like you turn and you look outside and the sunset's gorgeous. For most people, the word sunset will come before the experience of it. It should not be that way. Our first language was experience. That is its own language all by itself. Just because we can't translate it to another person doesn't mean that there's not a comprehensive language in there for experience. So the goal is to detach so much of language cognitively in your brain that it automatically jumps behind meaning. And if you read the book, people are saying that it's really crawls into your head deeply. And it's taken me a few years to get it to a point where I can hack my way into your brain. If you read the book, then the book will do its job. But the overall goal being not that you're saying F you to language and you're just like taking a vow of silence, but that language steps behind meaning. So that now when I hold up a triangle or I hold up the Mona Lisa, you are experiencing the thing first and only deciding if you want to label that afterward. And I think language is starting to strip meaning because we have more and more information and less meaning. And we're getting kind of addicted to that. If you think of like a little kid, 3 years old, 4 years old, they look up, and all of us did it. When we're little kids, we look up at the moon and we're like, I'm going to snatch that thing out of the sky one of these days. I'm going to be able to reach it. I'm going to snatch that mofo. I'm going to pull that thing down. And we reach up there and grab it, try to grab it, and it's magic. It's magic. It's a miracle. And then mom says, that's the moon. And then you go, moon. And then mom reaches down and hugs you. And then moon becomes a trick to get hugs. Moon becomes a funny thing. And you look up at it. You don't need to reach up for it anymore because you already know what it is. Moon. I'm going to point up at it. So it gives us an illusion of experience and understanding. Like a dad talking to his son says, oh, how do these birds know how to fly 5,000 whatever miles down to this country for the wintertime? And the dad goes, oh, it's instinct.
Yeah.
Now you understand.
Yeah.
Because I told you the word for it. But it doesn't give us any understanding. It's most languages a placebo for understanding. The famous story is we lock a lady in a room with every book ever written in history on the color red, but all the books are in black and white. She knows more about red than any person in the world and has never seen it in her life. And the door opens one day and she sees a flower, and it takes 1/trillionth of a second for her to have more understanding than is contained in all these books. Because she experiences it first. Language and meaning come second. And that's what tongue is designed to do, to really kind of rewire our brain.
I'm fascinated by this whole concept, and I'm fortunate enough to get one of these. What did you call the copy? The copy you gave me?
The pre-print copy.
Yeah. I guess that's pretty much what it was.
It's like a FedEx office.
I love it. Like, you're going to make sure you have to sign it for me too. But it's, again, back into medicine space. It's why these things are ineffable, because they're so big that when we try to put them into words, it never, ever, ever lands. Some people may be better at it, but it's never that felt experience. And that's where all the magic is.
It's so true. And anytime I am helping someone through a medicine experience, the only rule that I have is, I will not talk to you during the experience unless you need water or you're freaking out and I'm going to say everything's okay, that kind of thing. Second, after you come out of this experience, do not journal about it. Don't talk about it. Don't explain it to anyone. You can go talk all you want to. Go to TGI Fridays, get you some cheese sticks, talk to your family, talk to your friends, doesn't matter. Do not talk about your experience for a couple of days. Let it be. Because I think the moment that we name it, we're lassoing it around a placebo of understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a conversation with a couple of brothers that do a lot of medicine work, facilitate. And when I've done some recent experiences, that is the number one thing that is drilled into us when we're leaving, and even before we leave. It's like the moment you try to share this with someone, and there are some things you can share, but the moment you try to make meaning, like that thing that you're wanting to grow on the vine, it stops growing. Doesn't mean you don't have access. You still have access to it, but you're stunting it for what it wants to become. And that has been my experience. This last experience I had, I've largely kept it to myself. And it's been amazing how it's continuing to reveal itself, because I'm not trying to drill down everything I thought I felt while I was in the experience. And right after, it's like, okay, like what else is this showing me? But yeah,
So
it's
true.
it's the same thing.
And I didn't know other people would say that. And I'm
yeah.
so glad that there's people out there that are going that direction, instead of like, here's the 3-page worksheet of like, how was your journey? Write about this. What were your intentions? Did it meet? Did you see describe what you saw? And like, there's people out there that have this shit.
Oh yeah.
That make people write everything down and like just circumscribe the entire experience into this little dictionary.
Obtrusive integration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think is, I won't say harmful, but I think it's counterproductive. For
Well,
people.
again, if you've done that, like amazing. Now try it this way and see how different it is.
The way that we were born to experience stuff.
Yeah.
There's a tribe in the Amazon called the Piraha tribe. They live on the Maisi River. And in their language, they have no words for past and future. And they do not have 1 ounce of anxiety because their brains don't process future data. It's not like that big of a deal to them.
Yeah, they're not trying to avoid outcomes and land on other outcomes. That's interesting.
But their language creates their perception of time and space and everything. Language is the thing that limits and shapes our entire reality without us even knowing it. Even if we don't use the language, we're thinking in it. There's like 39 words for blue in Russian. And Russians can detect just with their eyes way more shades of blue than English speakers can, and they can do it faster. So language really does a lot for how we perceive our entire reality. Most of the time, in not the best way.
Well, with that, how can people get in touch with you and do some of your, do your workshops, your online classes, and then attend, your exit process?
Yeah. If you just look me up on YouTube, it's just my name on YouTube, and then all my videos have a link right below. There's a lot of free courses they can start with and all that kind of stuff.
Amazing. Chef, anything?
Yeah, we're good, man. That was great. Thanks, Chase.
Yeah, thanks
Chef.
for being here,
It was good
brother.
to see you.
Thanks, Cal.
Hell yeah.